It's the weekend!
Warriors!
Warriors, come on to play!
Yeah! Here we go!
Good NFL Sunday morning, everybody. We are broadcasting live from the Weekend Warriors studios in beautiful Peoria, Arizona. I'm Ralph Romano, alongside my partner in crime, the legend, an absolute legend, Neil Lynch. And today, we have Philip Ammerine, in the studio as well. And this is the Weekend Warriors Football Sunday edition.
Where do we live again? Arizona?
Paria, Arizona.
Arizona.
All right. Thanks. Shut up.
What's? I just want to know what state we're in. That's all, man.
You're in a state of confusion.
Wow.
So today's a little different, right? We are not on the air as far as the 1580 The Fanatic today.
Why would that be, Ralph?
Well, because of the Minnesota Vikings and the Jets game in London. That kind of took us away.
Well, and that's going to happen for the next
2 more
three Sundays.
Yeah.
We're going to be off the air, so we're going to be online only. But you know what? This is going to be these are our 3 best shows ever. I think. I got a feeling, man.
These are just lies.
Whoa, okay.
Just lies.
We got Phil in studio. I mean, come on, this is fantastic. Normally, Phil is this disembodied voice who speaks from the heavens. And now it's like, here he is. Here he is. This is going to be fun.
Live and in charge.
From the heavens.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway.
Wow.
I have some exes who wouldn't even give me that from the heavens.
You can join us on X. We're obviously streaming live on X, and you can chat with us there. So don't feel free to join in and
Don't feel free to join in.
don't feel free to join in. Don't do
Please,
anything.
whatever you do.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so yeah, get on X. Say hi to us. We're only on X today.
We're on X. We're on Facebook, and we are on YouTube.
Hey, if you're on any of those social media channels, Facebook, X, formerly Twitter, and YouTube, put some comments in, and if we see them,
We'll ignore 'em.
we might respond to them. Well, Ralph will ignore them. I actually respond to stuff. So hey, what's going on this week in the? I can't use the term, right?
Well,
Because-
usually we always go look back, but real quick before we look back.
oh, we got to look back. You're
Before we
right.
look back, Phil, what's going on today? There's something happening right now.
There is. Right now, we've got a live game in, of course, the one that kicked us off. Of course, we've got halftime. Just went to halftime, although I don't know if we can do play-by-play. But New York Jets are behind 7 to the at-home Minnesota Vikings across the way, 17. 7-17. Aaron Rodgers just got an Alan Lazard touchdown. For those of you wondering if ayahuasca does travel abroad, yes, it does.
Ayahuasca again. We talked about this.
Yeah, I didn't even think of that. You're right. Well, yeah, that I don't know. I'm curious to see if the Vikings are going to repeat what happened last week when they listen. They beat the Packers fair and square, as Chris Sabo used to say with the Cincinnati Red Stockings, but they almost lost that game. Jordan Love got off the couch and basically started throwing in the first half, and it showed. But by the second half, they had adjusted and they were catching up. They almost beat them. Now that does not take anything away from what was a dominating victory, right? And I'm beginning to change my tune about the Minnesota Vikings. So I will tell you that most true blue Minnesota Vikings beginning, but most
Taking them this long.
Yeah.
most true blue Minnesota Vikings fans are still cautious. They're cautiously optimistic, but they're cautious. So they're starting to learn, and to me, that's a good sign.
Well, I mean, last week was a mistake by the Packers. I think you kind of said it. I said it too. They should have never started Jordan Love. That was a mistake.
You were given 2 games, two
Right.
games that you should not have won, and now you are 0-2 with Jordan Love and 2-0 with Malik Willis.
So you're thinking that maybe they were a little.
I didn't
think
even think
about
about that.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a
true.
good point.
So you're saying they're a little greedy?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you watch the game, he was off. I mean, right? You knew he would be for a while.
Well, the first
right?
half he was pathetic.
And then he got it together and started coming back. But I mean, why do it against that team?
Right. If it was,
why
if it
not
was,
wait a week?
If it was like the Seahawks, then I'd be like, yeah, let's put them in there right away. No, that's not true. We'll talk about that later. But the Seahawks are actually in the same spot as the Vikings as far as nobody expect them to be good except maybe you and 2 other people, and they're actually pretty good.
Just because you're going to lose at the Vikings.
was-
Oh, I already know.
Yeah, that was one of those best losses of last week where it's like,
agree.
you know what? Hey, we'll actually take that.
You know when you have that loss and you're like, I'm okay with that.
Yes, 100%.
When you have 6 starters on defense out and your offense looks that good, I'm all right with that.
Yeah,
That wasn't that bad.
That was impressive. The Seahawks are another team that's better than at least my initial predictions were. So that's good. Good for you. And I'm already saving up. I already have. I got a Christmas savings account. You know, they used to do those back in the day. Those Christmas.
Yeah, what is
I
that?
got a. Well, so okay.
What's that?
This is. Are we gonna have like old people music? Back in my day, Phil. Let me explain to you how we did it in the day of the dinosaurs. Oh, that's good. That's the entertainer. Okay,
Yeah.
sorry. So no, they used to basically.
What the heck?
If you wanted to save for I don't know if this was like marketing from banks, but they used to have these special Christmas savings accounts. So you would set one up, and that's where you'd put money throughout the year to pay for Christmas presents.
Is this
now,
the fanciest layaway system I've ever heard of?
100%. Oh no. It was all marketing.
That's exactly
'Cause
what it
it's,
is.
It's just a savings account, but we called it a Christmas savings
Yeah,
account.
yeah.
Anyway, so I have
It's like
my
preemptive layaway.
preemptive layaway.
I love that.
I have my Arrowhead Grill savings account saving up because I already know I'm gonna have to pay up. So let's start looking at the
Come here
menu.
close to the camera.
Decide what you want.
Hey, here, Neil. Yeah, here's a here's
How's
a,
this? Is this
a
better?
Yeah.
No, I want you to come right here.
Oh,
Why you gonna smack me?
Yes.
No, I'm not gonna let you. Do
All
that.
right.
Anyway, all right.
So other games. Let's talk about this game threw me. The Commander game.
yes.
I actually picked the Cardinals last week. I gave it and I picked the Cardinals. What a mistake that was.
See, y'all
You and
didn't
me
believe
both.
me.
Yeah, right?
You know, my hard hitting, fact based analysis for the Vikings Green Bay game didn't work out so well. But for the Commandos game, absolutely. I will say too, I was also very shocked at how good they looked.
Yeah,
That-
you also did. No, but not one of us predicted that the Arizona Cardinals were not going to show up offensively.
Oh, that was
Right.
my text to you because we talked about this game's going to be a blowout.
Yeah, somebody forgot to show up.
And I texted him like, well, it was a blowout. I just wasn't expect. It was funny because they were no, that's something different. That actually ended up not being the highest scoring game of the week.
No, Seattle was.
Yeah, that was crazy. So yeah, unbelievable.
No, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say that but you're right, absolutely. The Cardinals at home not showing up offensively, or maybe that's part of the Commanders showing up defensively. It was hard to tell which was which, but Kyler Murray not showing up after those first 2 games offensively that showed up so much promise and so much poise. It's so sad that they are now fighting for their lives against a 49ers team going into this week that has already lost their upset game. Because if they had a win against the Commanders to go and to buoy them for one more week, you might feel a little bit better. But now it just this next loss, it just feels like it's going to knock them out.
It makes you wonder: is the Commanders' defense all of a sudden get right, or is Kyler Murray just that bad?
I think it's a combination of both.
I think he's kind of that bad, right? I mean, I don't know. We talk about this every year, every week with this guy, and he just doesn't seem like he has a grasp of what's really going on. And he gets so frustrated when things don't go his way that he just seems to fall off. And he looked terrible last week. He's looked good once this year, and that's it, right? And against a really bad Rams defense, he hasn't looked good since
Yeah,
Well, he also looked good in Buffalo. I mean,
for the first half.
Well, for the first half, and of course he didn't see Marvin Harrison over the line. But besides that,
true.
he actually did. They made a respectable showing, and against a Buffalo defense that was really showed up against the pass. It didn't show up against the run in their following game. So it's interesting that they've been able to kind of just go through this entire schedule and lose in the weirdest of ways that is not consistent. So it's hard to get an actual grasp. That's partly why you're so confused on, is it Kyler Murray? Is it the defense? Is it a bit of everything? And I think once we get to about halfway through the season, we'll be able to just sit down and identify the fact. But right now, living in the midst of 4 games, it's kind of hard to just say, are they just a bad team, or are they just a bad team specifically against the run? Are they a bad team specifically against throwing the ball if you're behind? It's hard to truly identify where that team deficiency is.
You know, I watched there's a Cardinal coaches show they have every week on TV. I don't know if you've ever seen it.
I haven't seen the
First of
Arizona
all, Ron
Cardinals
Wolfley,
promo.
yikes.
Yeah.
Ron Wolfley just does not do a good job. He looks like he's uncomfortable the whole half hour. But anyway, so John, the coach is on there, and they're talking. And I'm just listening to this guy, and I'm like, man, I don't feel like he has a grasp of some things. I feel like, I don't know. I feel like he's maybe a tiny bit over his head. I'm not 100% sure yet because I really kind of like the guy, but some of the things he says, I'm sitting there going, dude, do you think you might be over your head a little bit? I mean, I don't feel like you have control of what's going on here. Your defense looks terrible. They're getting worse by the week. Your offense is starting to decline. I don't know. We'll see. But I think by the end of the year, you have to make a decision on Kyler Murray. You got to figure out what you're doing with this guy.
So, and that's the thing too. This just in general comments. I dislike those coaches shows. I just do because unless you're just a unique person, like for example, I would love to watch a Mike McDaniel coaching show. That would be
so random. That was like not one of my top three coaches
that would be
at
pretty.
all.
That would be pretty cool. No,
Mike Tomlin was where I was going to go.
No. I would love to hear Tomlin. I think would always be real and direct with you. McDaniel would be just entertaining as hell.
Okay,
but most of these coaches, what are they going to say on the show? They have to toe the party line. They can't reveal anything at all in case the other team's listening and they get a tip on what kind of scheme they're going to run or what they're going to focus on for their defensive strategy or whatever the case is. I don't know. I just don't fit. And to be fair, the other thing too is that most of these coaches, they're coaches for a reason. They have no personality, right?
Especially if they're former quarterbacks or something, then they know they've been coached to just say absolutely nothing in a 30-minute diatribe.
Yeah, not everybody can be John Gruden.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah. Anyway, I don't know. I feel like those coaches shows are difficult, but to that point though, I do think you're right. I don't think we quite know what the problem is yet with the Cardinals. But I think halfway through the season, we'll get a good sense of it, and then maybe they'll have a chance to fix it.
Let's go to the chat real quick. So we have Blissful Hayes on chat. Says, good morning, Ralph, Neil, and Filthy Philly. Still giving you that title.
Still. That's right.
You guys are way more important than some game from London. You know what? Absolutely. Blissful
Especially
Hayes.
that game.
Love that. Yeah. He also says, let's go Bears.
Oh.
Yeah, hey, let's talk about the Bears.
The Bears.
The Bears took on the Rams last week, and they beat them 24-18. What'd you think about that game?
I thought it was, well... I still don't think that we have a definitive we can't leave that game saying Caleb Williams is the man, right? The Bears thankfully have a defense, and we all know the Rams are super depleted, but no excuse. This is the NFL. You have to figure out how to win. So I thought it was a good win, but I don't think it was that definitive win they're looking for. I'm waiting for that win where they're like, okay, this is our identity. This is who we are as a team. Their identity right now is that they have a really good defense, and they're tolerating Caleb Williams at this point.
Tolerating. They're not protecting him, so.
He's that okay. That's not really tolerating. Yeah, you're right. Caleb Williams this is I also sense that despite the optimism, I do get the read from some Bears fans that there's that internal dialogue that's starting up again, like, this is the same as before. Like, this all seems very familiar.
What? No. Okay, hold on. Okay, a step too far. Look, a single step too far. Caleb Williams, if you look at his games from as a rookie, I think C.J. Stroud specifically has raised the bar, has raised the expectations unrealistically to what a lot of quarterbacks as a rookie are able to do. Even Jaden Daniels this year is not a good barometer or litmus test for what rookie quarterbacks are normally expected to do. Although he stepped into one of the most favorable situations that any rookie quarterback has stepped into, that still doesn't mean that he doesn't have a chance to learn. We look at a correlation between quarterbacks that have a year to sit back or a couple years to sit back, and there's a reason why a lot of teams want to do that, to put them in the absolute best scenario possible. A good defense, that's a positive. Great pass catchers, that's a positive. But as we've seen, the offensive line that Caleb Williams is working with on the Bears, it's not that great. And also the rushing, it's pretty bad. And also the rushing game for the Bears, this is the first time you can say that it's existed. DeAndre Swift was a big free agent signing for Chicago, and this is the first time he's gotten DeAndre Swift has above 5 yards a carry. He's gotten above 16. He's gotten 16 carries last game. I think that once you establish, I think if you look at a quarterback and what they would want most, even beyond just fancy tools and fancy Swiss Army knives out there as wide receivers, I'd say a tight end and also a running game, and of course an offensive line, and maybe in reverse order. I think that a wide receiver core is great, but I'd much rather as a quarterback coming into the league trying to learn how to play, I'd much rather have a great tight end or running game in order to ease my way into it, because a lot's expected of you to utilize those tools. And it's kind of why you look at now as quarterbacks progress and whatever, they're getting rid of their diva wide receivers and highly talented and touted wide receiving, because it's just expecting too much.
So do you think that, assuming that this season plays out kind of the way we suspect it might, where the Bears are middle of the road, do you think they go for a new offensive coordinator next year?
A new offensive. Why are we stopping there?
Head coach?
Yeah, head coach. I wonder why they didn't do this last year, because it's a weird lukewarm seat where it's make the playoffs or at least have a middling record, bare minimum, no pun intended, make a bare minimum winning record. And once you do that, maybe your seat, maybe you're going to stay the head coach. But Matt Eberflus is not where your destiny is. He has no touch over what Caleb Williams does. I mean, we looked at Jonathan Gannon in the Cardinals game. He looks over his skis because he doesn't have anything to say when they're like, "What's wrong with Kyler Murray?" I'm coaching the defense. I mean, I couldn't tell you why.
Well, you're not doing a good job there either.
Yeah. So whenever we're looking at, I'd much rather have an investment into the offensive side of the ball from a head coaching perspective. And so you're asking, does the offensive coordinator? Sure. I mean, he's the most cut him off and see what you can do.
I remember. So I'm going to go back as a Seahawk fan. I remember when Mike Holmgren took over the Seahawks.
Okay.
The first thing he did in the draft and in free agency, besides getting Hasselbeck to come over, was put an offensive line together.
Yes.
Steve Hutchinson, all those guys. He put a huge offensive line together and said, I'm going to protect this guy so we can do the things we want to do on offense.
Exactly.
And within 5 years, he's in the Super Bowl. You're right. 100% it is the most important thing you do, which makes you afraid if you're a Colts fan, because you look at that offensive line and go, it's pretty solid.
Oh, yeah.
Good offensive line. That quarterback, way over his head. He's not seeing the game. He doesn't understand what's going on in front of him. He looks horrendous. He's not ready. He's not NFL ready at all, in my opinion. Of course, I'm talking about Anthony Richardson. I know we switched games real quick, but just the point of these guys, Anthony Richardson needs to sit behind a quarterback for a couple of years and try to learn the game and try to learn the flow and the speed of the game, because he's not ready. And because of what guys like C.J. Stroud did, or guys like what Jaden Daniels is doing this year, you're having this expectation that these guys have to come into the league and play day one. They're not ready. It's very rare that some of them are, and we happen to have two in the last 2 years that actually were ready. But other than that, these guys are not ready at all.
But I will say, Caleb Williams, you look at his trajectory, it's all gone up. Hit both passing yards, lack of sacks, quarterback rating, whatever you want to look at, since he's started his career, and it's gone up. I think that's a good trajectory.
Every week.
But let's take it to you, Neil, before we move on. I think that the number one indicator on whether or not a team is doing positively or negatively is how teams within their division feels about them. Whenever you're playing as a Packers fan, right now, are you most afraid of the Bears? Or are you most afraid of the Lions? Most afraid of the Vikings? Like I think that the Bears is still the one that you most look forward to within division.
Well, and that's only because it's a rivalry that's been going on for 850,000 years or whatever, however long the league's been around, right? But here's the thing. I don't think that Packers fans are afraid of the Bears at all. I think they want to beat them. It's a rivalry. They're like, there's squirreling, I can't, now I have your problem. I can't even speak.
Go ahead.
Quarreling siblings, right?
Yes.
That's how that is. The team that I think they are quote unquote afraid of is still the Lions.
Yeah.
Because the Lions, they have no beef. Lions fans kind of hate Packer fans, but everybody hates Packer fans, whatever. But the fact is, of those teams, the Vikings, I don't think, as much as it sucks losing to the Vikings, I don't think the Packers were that concerned. They kind of expected to lose anyway, and the fact they got even close was okay. Yeah. I think the Packers are confident in Jordan Love and the team going forward. And as far as the next time, I think they're looking forward to the next time they face the Vikings in Minneapolis. But of those four teams, I still think that it's the Lions that they fear the most. I don't think they care about the Bears. The Bears have not got to the point yet where they fear them. This isn't 1985. So, yeah, that's what I think.
So, switch gears. What about your Broncos last week?
Look, hey, I'm not going to put my pick ahead of the time that we have slated for it, but if me somehow picking against my Broncos every week, let me tell you, You smell that? You smell that this week? I'm smelling a 5-1 week, and that one is my Broncos. I'm never picking on them again. My goodness, what a delicious win!
Delicious.
I like that word.
I love that. I that is how I want to win each and every win. Where all of a sudden we as the Broncos are upset fever. Where it's unacceptable that you lost to the Broncos. Where at the start of halftime, or sorry, at the start of the second half, Bo Nix is at -6 after passing for it 72 times in the pouring rain. We love it. We absolutely love it. Stealing a win from the jaws of defeat. I love it. I demand it, and I want more of it. The season can end right now, and I'm happy.
12 for 25 for 60 yards and a touchdown.
I love it.
67.9 QB rating. And he wins.
Give me some Bo.
67.9 QB rating.
Yeah, I mean,
My
I think
goodness.
I could get that potentially.
hey, you can't knock it. They've won 2 games, right? I
Yes.
mean, so it is what it is, I guess. I mean, I laughed that whole time. I saw that. I was just thinking because I think we talked a little bit too. I was
Yeah,
just
we
like,
did.
This guy, man, I can't even believe this.
Well,
but-
hey, though, if we're talking about rookie QBs, though, and on a completely serious note, I actually am starting to get a little bit. I mean, very, very, very low hype, but I am starting to get a little hyped over Bo Nix because you look at those first 4 teams he's played. He's faced some pretty tough defenses, and the only one that he didn't, which was not a tough defense, was the Buccaneers, and he put up a 26 burger on them.
Yep.
Had to face the Seahawks, Steelers, and then the Jets, and got 2 wins out of that. I'll take it.
Yeah, I think Bo Nix is. I said at the beginning of the season, I think Bo Nix is going to be fine.
Yeah.
So that's really a non-issue as far as that. And I totally agree. I think we're just going to see upside on him. Absolutely, it's not going to.
I think he's good. I just think, again, I agree with you. I think in a couple of years he'll be one of the top guys in the league. I really do. I've been saying it since he got drafted. So a lot of people don't believe that, but it was funny.
I don't believe that.
I don't think I saw a guy would throw 60 yards and win a game.
I don't. Well, you remember Tim Tebow? It was very Tim Tebow-esque.
I don't think Tim Tebow was even a 60-yard game, though. Right?
Yeah, no. Tim Tebow even got a couple of screen passes that would just go for 5 yards themselves. So
right.
I don't think that really applies. I do, if memory serves, while watching the broadcast in the corner little square down there. I believe it is like the second time in NFL history before the 1880s or something where a quarterback has thrown for 60 yards and gotten a win.
How long
Yeah.
do you think the league's been around?
Oh my God! Okay, Teddy
18
Roosevelt
1880s?
was
Teddy Roosevelt.
yeah, was riding a horse, got shot in an assassination attempt.
he was
and
riding a
started the league.
dinosaur.
Yes, and said, "Tear down that wall." I don't know. Tear
down that wall.
Yeah, and Curly Lambeau and Mel Kanoki were like, "Look at me, I founded a team over there, right?" And with the Acme Packers there.
All right. No more recapping. We're done. If we were
are we
on the
done
radio right
capping?
now, we'd all be in our second segment just about now.
So what are you saying? No cap?
No capping.
Oh,
Anyway.
you ruined it.
Okay, so let's do what we would typically do in our second segment, and let's talk about the Cardinals
And
Niners
make up
game.
stuff?
No,
Oh.
we have the Cardinal Niner game to look at.
Oh my goodness,
which
this
I
game.
think this is a very interesting
This game, yes. At the beginning of the season, you would have picked this game and said Niners easily, no problem.
And now,
Not so much, but again,
game. I still think you said that.
I don't. Okay, so I'm trying to be gracious to the Cardinals. I don't. Obviously, even with the Niners being a little bit depleted, they've been able to reload where they need to. They're putting it together. I think they're just too much for the Cardinals, honestly. So I don't know if it's going to be as big of a defeat as it would have been if thinking about it from week 1. But I think I know I'm getting ahead of myself here.
You're
I'm so
going way ahead of
sorry.
yourself, yeah.
I'm getting ahead of anyway. But I think the other thing too is Trey McBride goes down with an injury. So what's going to?
he's back.
right?
isn't he?
Yeah. So he's supposed to be back from the concussion, which knocked him out for last week's game. This week he was supposed to return from that concussion, but yesterday in practice suffered a chest injury.
Oh,
now
jeez.
he is likely to play. On the other side, for the 49ers, Fred Warner is likely to play. George Kittle is likely to play. Of
Yeah.
course, Christian McCaffrey is starting to get an Achilles tear in his chest now. I mean, that is the weirdest thing that he's got an Achilles tear, and then it's a sensation that's moving to the other leg.
Wait, Achilles tear in his chest?
And it's traveling. It's all going all
pull
through. He's
that
going to
off?
Germany. Yeah,
That's a weird injury.
it's going across in Germany. I don't know if he took
Wow.
the wrong procedure. I don't know what he's doing, but he's still out for a couple more games.
McCaffrey's done for the year.
Wow, that is a bold
He's
statement.
done.
He might be.
I think he's done for the year.
I think the fear is he is.
Well, here's the thing. By the time he's able to play, what's the point? I mean, unless obviously if they're in a playoff run, you think about it, but I don't
think
know.
about it. No, you bring him back. I mean, it's kind of like this. We're looking at Ralph's team here with the Seattle Seahawks and Percy Harvin that year. He only played in what, 2 games?
Yeah.
Percy Harvin did, and one of them, of course,
yeah.
you take the player if you got at the room, and they certainly have the room.
I don't know. I think this is worse. I mean, the fact that it was supposed to be a couple weeks. Now it's more weeks. What's he going to go to some other country and get a different diagnosis? He's going to go to
I
Asia.
hear Brazil's got great Achilles tendon tears.
What he has
They
is
tear all over your body.
having an injury like that. I mean, you just take the wrong step or the wrong move, it's just going to go pop.
Yeah.
Right. I mean,
So it's like-
and if it's both of them, forget it. Right?
I think he's done for the year.
I think if you want to bring him back anytime soon, you might have to think about long term with this guy. We want him next year and year after that.
Mm-hmm.
Do we risk it? I don't know. I mean, I have no idea.
Well, I don't think you necessarily. I mean, just before we continue on the game analysis, I don't think you necessarily have to take into account going years forward. A lot of the time, these contracts are funny duddy, and just especially going forward, a lot of that guaranteed money has already been played out, and the 49ers, especially with having to pay Trent Williams and Brandon Ayuk, are going to be looking for excuses to move on from players.
Yeah.
I think that this last year is the last gasp effort before Brock Purdy needs to get paid himself.
Yeah.
And he's a potential
Yes.
somebody that you want to just go all in this year and then deal with the cap consequences going forward, which I think might also include, hint, getting off of Christian McCaffrey going forward. So I would actually see that as an opposite incentive to bring him back this year, but with mild expectations of saying, you know what, we're pretty much guaranteed a playoff spot. Let's just make sure it's at the best possible thing to make sure that you're here for the entirety of the playoff.
So
run.
you're saying go all in this year, and if he goes down, he goes down. It is what it is. This is our only chance.
Yeah, I think
because I agree
consequences
with
be
you.
damned.
Starting next year, they're not going to be able to keep those guys together anymore.
Exactly.
They're going to have Seattle Seahawks syndrome when the Legion of Boom started breaking up. It's the same exact scenario.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I guess how long has he been in the league? He's been in the league a while.
Let me take a look.
I mean, he's been nothing but injured, but pretty much every season except for 1 or 2, I think.
He's had some kind of nagging
He's been
injury.
in the league since 2017, so this is his seventh season. Yes.
So in that position, typically 7-8 years is where you start seeing decline and you start seeing those guys start to fade away. So
Yeah, he's 28 years old, and we look at the point of no return usually around 27, 28,
Yeah.
maybe 29. Derrick Henry is, of course, the outlier this year, and largely seen by most folks as amongst the last Hall of Fame running back talents. Christian McCaffrey, of course, being the other one in contention there, but he certainly doesn't have he has the talent. Whenever you ask the question of yourself of was this person a top 5 player at his position amongst at any point in time in his career, Christian McCaffrey certainly passes that smell test.
Yeah.
But you look at the career numbers, they just need a little bit more. He needs like a Super Bowl to get him in there before to really cement him in there. If we look back though at this game specifically for the 49ers, looks like, Neil, you're pretty hesitant there to just crown the 49ers to win this game. I'm not that hesitant.
I'm not hesitant. I don't, which I appreciate that insight. Like I like this. Like he's like looking into my soul, and he's like, Neil,
and he's seeing a lot of
you're
darkness.
hesitant. He's seeing no, there's a lot of emptiness. But he's hello, echo. No, I'm hesitant to be too excited about it. I'm not as I to be honest, if something weird happened and the Cardinals somehow managed to pull this one out of their rear end,
yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised. But I think it's a mostly comfortable win for the Niners.
You ready for my non-scientific, non-projection pick here?
Well,
ahead.
somebody's got to do it besides me, so go ahead.
Absolutely. I think that the 49ers lost their whoopsie division game already with the Rams. I think if the Cardinals were to steal this one, it would be just that. It would be a steal. And I think the 49ers are at 2-2, just don't have the leeway to give a game up. I think that they already
That's
did
true,
that
too.
with the Rams and especially doing trick plays and everything, whatever. And they're at home. There's just so many ways that it would be shocking. It would be absolutely shocking to me if I saw that the Cardinals, even a field goal and last second, a la the Falcons Saints last week, where it's a 60-yarder straight through. If it was just a last second win and the Cardinals take one on the road and steal one, I would be shocked if the 49ers don't get a blowout, quite honestly.
So let me pause here for a second, because we didn't talk about this during the recap of last week, but we got to give some love to our man Kirk O'Chains, Mr. Cole's Cash. He's out there. He's dealing out there with the Falcons.
Yeah, this past Thursday.
We have to
500
talk
yards, yeah.
Kirk Cousins,
highest in
baby.
Falcons history.
This guy, I'm seriously, man. He leaves Minnesota. He leaves the home of vice presidential candidate Tim Walz. Goes to Georgia. Look what he's doing. I'm telling you, man. I'm just kidding. I have no idea. I'm just making stuff up at this point. But no, Kirk. I'm sorry. I had to. You mentioned that game. I was like, got to give love to my man Kirk Oak Chains.
As a quick aside, if we're going to do the sports takes here, does that does that erase Kirk's narrative of where anytime he's in a prime time game, standalone game, he's been known to give that up, like especially on Monday night. Does that erase that narrative?
I think it's mostly gone. I agree.
Yeah.
I think because he's done it twice already this year.
Yeah.
Where he's come back. So I have a feeling it's over. Now, getting back to the...
You're just bouncing all over the place, man.
I'm like, well, no, I'm sorry. We said that. I was like, we forgot to talk about my man, Kirk Chains.
We did.
So I apologize. So now we're heading back to the
49ers, Cardinals.
So here's... Dun, 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 dun. So here's the hard-hitting analysis that when you come to expect here from Weekend Warriors. Let me tell you the X factor for this game. The X factor for this game might be the weather and the fact that the Niners requested to wear white jerseys because of the heat, and the NFL said, nah, too bad. You can wear white pants, but you can't wear white jerseys. Sorry. So now, I mean, this controversy might be enough to throw the Niners off of their game. They're going to be sweltering in that 95-degree unusual heat for Santa Clara kind of because it's right next
now
to the
it's
bay.
69 degrees is the weather outlook.
Yeah, well, listen, they were concerned about it enough where they asked the NFL if they could use different jerseys.
Analysis. Thank you very much. All right. Oh my gosh. Can we go back to the Cardinal game?
That was the Cardinal game. I'm talking about the Niners Cardinals.
You've been all over the place. You've got me confused.
That's because you're confusing.
Ralph, when looking forward to this game, does it play at all in your mind that they smacked around the Patriots on a 17-win at home last week? They're staying at a 2-game home stint. Does that factor at all for the 49ers that they got an easy game last week that they can look forward to the Cardinals this week?
I mean, I think it helps, right? I mean, it gives them a little confidence. We talked about Christian McCaffrey being, out and all that, but what about Jordan Mason? That guy has done a job, man. I mean, he really has.
I feel like he stepped in admirably.
He's averaged. The Niners are averaging 142 yards rushing per game. They're 8th in the league in rushing, without McCaffrey. So Jordan Mason has been great, right? So to your point, where they may be all in and whatever happens, they're probably looking at maybe crowning Jordan Mason as their next guy going forward. I mean, if he keeps it up.
Well, whenever that move happened 2 years ago where the 49ers traded for Christian McCaffrey, I think that's the reason why people got so excited, because Kyle Shanahan is known for his run schemes. Whenever you hire Kyle Shanahan, and if he were to ever be fired for the 49ers, he'd be hired in 2 seconds. One of the reasons why is because he's such a savant when it comes to offensive play schemes and drawing them up and getting people in open spaces, especially from a running position. Yeah. And so one of the reasons why Christian McCaffrey was so coveted and so thought of for this 49ers, because you were just adding nitro to a race car. Because Jordan Mason, I think, is just the general everyman that of the NFL, where you're just looking at a running back, and trust me, he's looking good. His stats are phenomenal, but you'd have to at least account some of it, a la like Sean McVay with any quarterback. He's going to make you look great, but whenever you add Matthew Stafford to it, it's just that much more impressive. I think Jordan Mason is just almost like the floor of what you're looking at for a running back in Kyle Shanahan's system, and he's filling in admirably. Yeah. He's doing a very good job, but I think that's partly why whenever you get so excited and you think Super Bowl for the 49ers, it's because Christian McCaffrey does so much more with the opportunities drawn up by Kyle Shanahan than anybody else does, especially Jordan Mason, who is, again, you can't take much away from him.
I agree with you. So this is what I look at when I look at this game. I look at Kyler Murray versus the Niners defense, right? Especially that front seven. Can that line protect Kyler Murray enough to where he could actually do something? I don't think they can. No. I really don't think they can. I look at how good the 49ers have been on the ground, like you just talked about, against a Cardinals defense that is ranked 27th in the league against the rush. They can't stop people on the ground, right? That's an issue. I look on the other side. The Cardinal rushing attack's been pretty good. I think they're fifth.
James Conner.
Yeah, they're fifth in the NFL this year, right? Can that offensive line open holes for him against that defense? I don't know that they can.
Especially now with Fred Warner likely to play.
Right. And the Brock Purdy, the one thing about Brock Purdy, he's been efficient. He's been pretty efficient this year.
Efficient-ish.
He's been efficient. And if he has Kittle back and Trent, I think Trent Williams is playing, is what I heard.
Yeah, well, yeah, he's been playing through an injury, it sounds like, but yes.
So the Cardinals are going to have their hands full in the secondary as well. You look at all this stuff, and I don't see a chance in the world for the Cardinals to win this game. I just don't. I think they're going to get blown out. I agree with you.
Yeah.
Do I want the Cardinals to win this game?
No. I mean, round table, none of us want the 49ers to win.
No, I want the Cardinals to win this game.
Yeah.
It helps the Seahawks, right? I mean,
Yeah, that's true.
But it's not going to happen. It's just not. I mean,
I agree.
Now, I will say that typically in history, the Cardinals have played the Niners pretty tough. They usually do. But they just don't look good this year. They look horrible. I know you're supposed to throw all that away in a division game. I just can't throw it away. It looks so bad.
I don't know if they look horrible yet,
No, they look horrible.
but I think after this week, we can definitively say that they're horrible. Or
Jaden
not.
Daniels carved them up like a Thanksgiving turkey.
Right, and
It was bad.
and the Cardinals also carved up the Rams like a Christmas goose.
Yeah, but the Rams had nothing but injuries. What's the Cardinals' excuse? They're just bad.
The Cardinals' excuse is that Ralph Romano is not a big fan of theirs,
They are who we thought they were.
and we let him off the hook. Do we have that? We don't have that sounder. Oh, I love that. I actually got that sounder of what's his name saying that.
They are who we thought they were.
Danny Green.
And we let them off the hook.
Yep, that's
right.
true.
I don't. Well, it's funny because in Minnesota, when you're up there on the sports radio stations, they love playing like the bumpers in between segments. They love playing Danny Green quotes like the Calcutta Clipper, or I'll see you on the high road, or I don't think about the past, or we are who they thought. Yeah, that one's famous. So I love
So
it.
I'm taking San Francisco. That's my first pick.
Okay.
I'm with you, Ralph.
You're taking
and
San Francisco.
If I can get a 0.5 for calling the blowout, I will take that as well. If not, I'll just straight up pick
I
the
don't
49ers.
I think we're doing money line only on this.
Okay.
I will.
I want a gold star, please.
Okay, so that we can get you.
Yes.
In fact, yeah, we can. Yeah, gold star for sure. I am also going to reluctantly pick the Niners. No, they're going to win.
So after all that, you're taking the Niners.
What? Where's the gravitas? Where's the motivation over there?
Okay, hang on a second. You're talking about me and gravitas in the same sentence, Phil. You should know better by now.
All right, so that would be our Cardinals segment. Thank goodness. So I think we all agree that the Cardinals, we all want them to win. We don't think they're going
They're
to
the
win.
Walking Dead today.
No. Who said we want them to? Well, we have to.
We want
because
them to win.
We are an Arizona station.
No,
we are
even
Arizona
without that,
show.
we
Yeah,
want them to
no,
win.
that doesn't play into it. I just hate them. I love the 49ers just swallowing their own misery.
And the Niners, this is
there's
an
that
important
too.
game for them, to your point, because you know what? Next week they have the short week and they have to play Seattle in Seattle.
Yeah.
A defense that's getting healthy again. So, I mean, that's not going to be easy for them. They really need this win to really make that not as an impactful game as it could be. Because if they lose this game, and now, I mean,
that becomes an early game.
that becomes a
must-win.
huge issue. Now they're 2 games behind Seattle with an opportunity to go 3 games behind them with the tiebreaker on Seattle. So they have to win this game. It's a big game for them.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about all the money I'm going to be spending at Arrowhead Grill. Because you know, Ralph's not just going to buy he's not
Are
going
you
to buy.
still stuck on that?
He's not going to buy off the kid menu.
No, make
right?
sure you go. Hey, here's a hint. Make sure that you go during restaurant week.
Oh yeah. Oh, you know what I'll do? Well, we both have senior discounts, so we could probably get those maybe.
Whoa.
Ralph's going to be the first person in history to say, "Whoa, hey, I don't want my senior discount."
What senior discount do I have? I am not your age.
Yeah, you're older. Anyway,
Jerk. How old are you, Phil?
Old enough to know better.
All right, good job.
that's a smart man right there.
That's a good answer.
All right.
All right, so let's look back. So this is where we stand right now. So last week, we got to go to last week. Phil won last week. He was 4-2. He won with Atlanta, Detroit, Minnesota, and Cincinnati. Lost with AZ and the Jets.
Absolutely.
Oh, I was the wrong one. Sorry.
What are you doing?
Breaking news, Neil.
I just reached over and pushed the button. And
Don't touch the board. You're not allowed.
I thought I was hitting the oh yeah, but it was the breaking news.
There's no oh yeah.
I apologize, Ralph. Please do not kick me off the show again.
All right.
And you're gonna like it.
Okay. I was second last week at 3-3. Guys, that really bothered me. No, I'm kidding. I had I had the Bengals, I had
bad.
Minnesota, and I had Atlanta. And then Neil brought up the rear, which you hear a lot about Neil. He was 2-4. He had Washington and Detroit. So
Yeah,
as we stand,
I had a bad week.
he had a bad week. As we stand, all right, now I'm in first at 14-10. Neil's in second at 13-11, and Phil is charging at 8-16.
You're making a comeback.
Yes,
Which you
it's
said
a
he would.
furious comeback.
Remember, you said that last week. You said he's going to make come back and just leave us in the dust.
Oh, I believe. Yeah, it has begun.
It was a
right?
part of the gift. It was a part of the. Last
Phil is-
week, I offered you a gift.
Phil, and I didn't take. Phil is absolutely going to beat us all at the end of this. You watch.
All right, so let's start with the. So we all picked the Niners. We're all good there.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go. Let's see here. Let's do Packers Rams. Let's start with the Packer
Don't
game.
we?
Why don't we start with Packers?
Do you want to start
Rams?
with that, Neil? Would you like to go first?
I
since
will
your team?
start with the Packers Rams. So I think that since a couple of things. First of all, the Packers are at home.
No, it's the Rams.
God grief, I got that wrong. That
They're
was
at
last
someone else's
week.
home.
Well, hold on though. You're not entirely wrong. It's at Inglewood, California. Packers do travel well, so it's an unofficial.
That's
home
true.
game.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I can
I'm
see
sorry.
that's what you meant, Neil.
I got
that's
confused.
what you meant.
Thank you. Phil is fantastic because he just bailed me out. No, this is in Inglewood.
Yes.
At the old Hollywood Park. And yes, Packer fans do travel very well, especially for games on the West Coast.
Oh, I miss Hollywood Park.
Yeah, well, that's
I do.
oh
I
yeah,
miss Hollywood Park.
he's a
I grew up doing that.
Ralph's a big. He grew up with the horses and stuff. So yeah.
I even dated a few, but go ahead.
Oh wow. So okay, so the Rams are having a home game away because they're at SoFi. I think that the Rams feel a little vulnerable right now. So this is kind of I think they may want to hype their team up, making this a must-win game. It might be a must-win game for them, but ultimately, I think that the Packers just have too much with Jordan Love pretty much back. I think he's going to be able to officially run the offense. I don't think the Rams will have an answer. There may be it may be close in the first half, but I think in the second half, the Packers will pull away and expose all the weaknesses the Rams have. I think that the Packers are going to win this game. Not just because I'm a homer and because I picked the Packers last week, who were actually at home at the time, and they lost. But no, this will be, I think you will hear just as many cheers for the Packers in SoFi as you do for the Rams. So it should be very interesting.
Okay, so you're picking the Packers.
Green Bay.
Phil.
I'm going to take the much disrespected Rams for this one.
Wow.
I know.
Whoa.
That's a news break. That's breaking news.
That's a slap, man. That's not a news
And you
break.
remember it, Neil. Slap. All right, no, I'm taking the Rams. Look, if I'm looking at the healthier quarterback, weirdly enough, it's Matthew Stafford this particular week. I think that being at home does certainly help. That you're not having to go on the road in Green Bay. I think that certainly helps. And I think that if you look at a lot of the best players, they are actually still on the Rams. The Rams are certainly top heavy and are missing two of their wide receivers, but they are getting a couple of defensive players back this week. I think that the Rams are going to try and run against the Packers, and the Packers aren't all world beaters at the again on rush defense. I think that the Rams are going to take this one, and this one's going to be a close game. I don't know if you guys agree on that one. It feels like the 3 points is where it's going to end up. I think if somebody's wrong on this one, it'll be by 3.
I mean, okay. I don't agree with you at all, but okay.
Wow.
So this sounds like, based off of your shock and off of your disagreement, that you're going Packer?
I mean, you have the number 2 rushing defense in the league against the number 2 rushing offense in the league against the last rushing defense in the league.
Yes, but if you're
they're gonna
Jordan
run all over
Love,
these guys.
don't you think that a lot of their rushing offense came from Malik Willis and just running the pistol offense?
I get that and
Josh
Jacobs. Yeah, I mean, Josh Jacobs went off. I just think, I don't know. I think the Packers are going to run all over the Rams. I just do. I mean, I don't see them stopping them. And I think Jordan Love, the Rams defense is middle of the road when it comes to passing, but I think Jordan Love will be okay against the Rams. And I don't think Kyron Williams will be able to get off against the Packers front seven. I just don't think he can.
won't
And I
be
think
able to what?
he needs to get off.
Yeah, whatever.
Okay.
He needs.
And there's a lot of smacking going on here.
Wow, that's crazy.
He needs to be able to have a good game against the Packers D, and I don't know that we'll see. I mean, I don't want to underestimate Williams because he's a hell of a running back, but I just don't see it. I don't.
I think that part of my reason for picking the Rams is I'm not 100% buying what Neil's selling on that. It's just that there's game rust and that he's fine. I think that injury, he came back very early.
I agree.
And I don't know that. I think that he can have a good quarter. good half maybe, but I don't think a full game of good play is in Jordan Love right now due to injury specifically. Plus, he's still young and early in his career. We forget he's only a year.
He's like 12.
Yeah, pretty much. He was like a toddler.
He was
in
like
NFL
he was
terms.
like riding his bike to the arcade last week, and now he's
He's not a baby in NFL terms. He's a toddler.
He's a toddler. That's true.
All right. I mean,
Very good. Well, you know,
we'll
that's
see what
okay.
happens.
Next game.
I don't want to ever say that Phil's wrong, because the moment I say that, he'll win.
That's
and
the kiss of death, yes.
It's the kiss of exactly. So I'm going to be very respectful, and
As well, you should be. Respect your elders.
I think right. I think like I said, you think it's going to be close. You don't think it's going to be close at all. I think it'll be close in the first half and then different in the second half. So we'll see how that goes.
Okay.
All right. Let's look at Raiders Broncos. Phil, you go first.
All right, guys. Yeah, we've got a coach liking the fact that one of his team players is going to potentially be leaving his team. That's the Raiders. We got a team that's missing its top talent on offense. That's the Raiders. We got a team that might even be missing its top talent on defense, Max Crosby. I think as of right now, we're still in a questionable status for him. That's why I'm picking the Raiders. Because again, if I have to sacrifice, if I must give up and sacrifice my child, that is my picks and my record of one, just so the Broncos may live, gosh darn it, I'm going to do it each and every week, and I'm going to do it willingly. I'm picking the Raiders. Let's go. The Raiders winning is like an Oakland breeze. I don't know what the hell they're because I refuse to memorize their mantras, but my God, just win, baby, Raiders.
Okay. Neil? These picks have been something else today. Go ahead. Oh, is that your Raiders? Yeah.
The autumn
That's
wind.
an awful tune.
I need to
The
go get
autumn
that.
wind is a Raider. So for this game, I was high on the Raiders early in the season. I was high on Gardner.
high?
I was high on Gardner Minshew. I was
I think he's high too.
I was taking the Gardner gummies, right? Like I thought that this team was going to do. I thought the combination of him and Antonio Pierce and Devontae Adams.
That was the winning combination for you.
I thought that was going to be it. Clearly, the Raiders have shown who they really are. They have to travel to hated, whatever they call it now at Mile High. What's the name of the stadium now? Is it something Stadium at Mile High?
I don't know.
It's like-
Empower Field. At
Empower.
Mile High.
Oh my God! Empower Field. That's like Geha Field at Arrowhead. It's Arrowhead, for crying out loud. All right. Anyway, so I think that the Raiders traveling to Denver is going to be problematic because I think that Gardner is going to get too high.
He's no longer microdosing, just regular dosing.
He's just I mean, the altitude he gets it's more. It's like they say
physically.
one drink on the ground is 3 in the air, right? Imagine being mile high. Anyway, so I think that the Broncos are going to be too much for the Raiders. I think the Raiders are a scam, and I'm finally off the bandwagon, and I'm going to pick against them probably every week unless they're playing like the Jaguars or maybe the Cardinals. I don't know, but I'm all in with Bo Nix. He's at home. He's on a roll. I think that this team can't handle a good quarterback. That's what I think. The Broncos. I take the Broncos in this one.
Okay. Wow. Take this down here.
What did I write? Did I pick the Broncos?
Yeah.
I don't
good
hate
for you.
on the Broncos at all.
That's your best opposing pick from me that you've ever had.
Thank you.
So when you say the Raiders are strong,
A sham mockery.
their passing game is middle of the league right now. They're not bad actually. Their passing, I think, is ranked 14th.
Well, it's not good.
It's not. It's not horrible though. It's 14th in the league. I mean, that's not horrible. Where they're horrible is their rushing attack is ranked 31st. Right? They haven't been able to run the ball.
They have a rushing attack?
They don't have a rushing attack. That's
Oh,
the
they
problem.
don't.
Their
That's
starting
the point.
running back is out. Zamir White is out. Alfred Madison is going to be
you
the
know what?
starting running
Okay,
back.
so what happens a lot of times when some unknown player goes into a position like that? They have a fantastic game.
Not always.
You know what? It's not going to happen this week.
So continuing on, let me see if I can get my thoughts back. Denver's defense is dominant. That's a great defense.
Can we establish that now?
Yeah,
I think we have
I think
enough of a
that's fair.
sample size.
I think that's
The
fair.
Denver defense will be a problem for the Raiders offense.
Yes.
That defense is better than I thought it was. I was kind of embarrassed in week 1 when we couldn't really do much against you but beat you. But
Yeah.
now I'm looking back going, it's because your defense is that good.
Yeah.
It's one of the top defenses in the league. So I look at that, and then I look at Denver, and I believe in Bo Nix, and I think that maybe this is a defense that's prime for him to have a good game against. I think he can have a decent game, and I think they'll be able to run against the Raiders. I'm gonna take Denver too. I think Denver wins this game.
You know what? You can't change my mind on this pick, but you are brilliant.
I just
gentlemen.
don't. I don't see the Raiders winning this game. I just don't. I mean, I know Denver's gonna win. You just don't want to pick them.
No.
Yeah. So I think we're all mentally on the Raiders, even though you're gonna.
But
I mean, you're mentally on the Raiders, but
yeah, let's just win, baby. The quarterback must go down, and he must go down hard. That's like Schwarzenegger, like in the biopic.
Oh my gosh.
Of gosh, what?
That was
Al Davis.
Schwarzenegger?
That was Schwarzenegger as Al Davis.
I thought it was Schwarzenegger
As
having
Al
a
Davis.
stroke. I was like, good grief.
All right, next game. So I think we're Denver Raiders.
Yes,
but
we're-
really Denver.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. It's a shadow pick. Is
It's
what
a
they call it
shadow
in the
pick.
business.
All right, Giants and Seahawks. I'll start.
Oh boy.
Oh, I wonder, Neil, do you who do you think Ralph's going to
Let me think. Hang on here. Hang on. We'll let him say it.
Seattle is getting back some defensive players this week. So Nwosu is going to be playing his first game of the year. He's their best edge rusher, and he's their sack guy. He's finally going to play for the first time this season. Looking forward to having him back. Leonard Williams is back. A couple other guys I think are coming back as well. Julian Love will be back. So I think 4 of the 6 guys are back on defense, which is a big deal. Geno Smith is killing it right now. If you watched him on Monday night, forget the fact that their defense looks so bad with all those guys out. If more than half your defense is out, that's going to happen. The offense, how do they look? Geno Smith is just throwing darts all over the place.
He is looking good.
He looks really good, and I think that continues. And then Kenneth Walker is just a stud. He'll have another good game against this very weak Giant defense. I think this is a blowout. This is a big blowout. This is a 3-touchdown blowout. The Giants don't have a prayer in this game.
That's 2 gold stars.
And I think you'll see that
blowout.
documented from the
Writing
first
that
drive of the game. I think Seattle just takes off, scores in the first drive, and they never look back. So Seattle with a big win as they get ready for the Thursday night game against the Niners next week.
See, this is why we should be doing some of those, those parlays they do, like on DraftKings, where they get some personality and they pick some crazy parlay, this is your parlay basically, is that the Seahawks will score on the first drive. They will win by at least 3 touchdowns. What's another stat we're gonna?
Apparently, he thinks Kenneth Walker's going to go off, so get him.
Kenneth Walker's going to have at
touchdown.
least 2 touchdowns. So that's our parlay pick for the week, our in-game parlay. I'm sorry, I apologize. I just want to jump in there, but who are you going to have next?
No, there's some breaking news.
Oh, breaking news!
You guys both suck. That's the breaking news. Okay.
Well, it's breaking
right.
my heart, but okay.
All right. Phil, go ahead.
Look, I think that if this Giants team were whole, it might be a much closer game. The Giants boast a top 5 rushing defense, so Kenneth Walker going off in this game I think is highly unlikely. But unfortunately, I guess for the sake of the Giants, Geno Smith does not matter. He has 3 top wide receivers that could all start above anybody the Ravens have on wide receiver. Jackson Smith and Jigba is looking impressive. Yeah. DK Metcalf is impressive. And Tyler Lockett, whenever he has his odd game that just goes solar nuclear, is just always impressive. I look, whenever the Giants are missing 2 of their top offensive pieces in both their starting running back and of course Malik Neighbors, their top wide receiver, I'm supposed to place my trust in Daniel Jones. I don't see how any of us can pick the Giants with any ounce of credibility. Neil, your turn.
Listen. I like that. It's like we're in court.
You're an idiot if you take this.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Neil.
But by all means.
You're an idiot.
I don't want to lead the witness, but by all means.
Yes. Yes. Now you can cross-examine, Neil. So listen, y'all hating on Daniel Jones here, okay?
Because he
Openly.
sucks.
Yeah.
You realize,
With disdain, yes.
with prejudice. Yeah. Daniel Jones has completed 70% of his passes the past 2 games. He's thrown 2 touchdown passes in each of his 2 road games this season. Running back Devon Singletary has run for a touchdown in 5 of his past 6 road games.
He's out this game.
But you know what? None of it matters. None of it matters.
that really doesn't matter.
None of it matters because they just I mean this game.
He's so desperately Ralph. He wants to big thing. He's like, oh my god.
Listen. I understand this game really comes down to it's going to be the Seahawks offense versus the Giants passing defense.
Yes.
So on that alone, there's no way in the world I can pick the Giants.
Good for you.
Like here's the thing: the Giant. Boy, you thought I was going a different direction, didn't you?
Thought you might be
the
stupid enough,
Giants. It's like I feel like we're kind of in position. We're getting ready to position who's going to be the most pathetic team in the league this year. So we've
Who are
got
the top contenders?
the
Giants?
the Giants, the
Patriots.
the Patriots, the Jaguars,
Jaguars.
the Jaguars,
Panthers.
and the
Panthers with Red
the
Rifle now. Hold on.
Yeah, right. I was gonna say Panthers were in that mix, but the Red Rifle might help them. Don't know.
Titans.
The Titanes. Yeah,
They
I
beat
don't-
the woeful now Tua-less Dolphins, and actually, let's even add the
the Dolphins are on the
now.
list now. After
Without
Tua's
Tua,
gone, yeah.
He'll be back week 8.
So I
That's what they're saying.
I just can't stand that. Oh, I hate that. All right, so that's the way I think. So yeah, I agree. So the Giants are in that. There's no way in the world that they're even going to come close. I agree with you. It's going to be at least 3 touchdowns. I'm with you on this one, Ralph. I'm picking the
I
Sea
don't know if I'm
Chickens.
that disrespectful, but
All right. So we all agree.
yes.
Let's look at this is a tough one. The Bills against Houston.
This might be the most divisive one.
This is.
I look, for whatever reason, don't ask me why, but if you look at the home versus road splits for CJ Stroud, he's actually better on the road. Again, don't ask me why. Don't know why. I think we're still waiting. Last I checked, we're still waiting on a determination on whether or not Joe Mixon is playing the starting running back for the Houston Texans.
I thought he was out. Is there still?
Is he out?
That's what I
He's
thought.
been out.
We
for the
can
past
ask the
few-
king.
Yes, we'll ask the king. I'm sure that he's keeping up to date on everything. And actually, believe it or not, that is a big determining factor for
Yeah.
me. That is because as we saw last week with Derrick Henry and of course Lamar Jackson, who are of course probably amongst the best rushing teams in the NFL. The Texans might not be that, but they're certainly not that without Joe Mixon. And I think that's certainly a weakness that can be exploited by the Bills, especially not within 1 week and seeing how teams best attack a team. I think that the Texans would love to take advantage of that, and they certainly could with Joe Mixon. So without that knowledge, I think I'm going to go. Oh, man, this is so tough. I'm going to go with the Bills with very, very little conviction on that.
Little conviction. Okay.
Very little conviction.
Neil.
This is a tough game as well. I agree. I've left Phil to give us all the hard hitting stats and analysis.
Because you don't have them for this game?
Mine's all gut feel and instinct on this one.
How many yards has Devin Singletary ran for the Bills this season?
He's run more than one.
Right.
I don't have this stuff memorized.
It's all right, it's all right.
So that's. Listen, I mean, now to be fair, there are a million
To be
people on
fair.
this planet. To be fair, there are many people who would be able to I did this stat. It's like Sean McVay talking about what he had for breakfast 3 years ago.
Oh my gosh, he's
during-
incredible.
That's
He's like the second preseason game of his rookie coaching career, and he's got like the stats memorized in the back of his mind. It's incredible.
Yep.
So this is a road game, obviously for the Bills. So you talked about the splits at CJ Stroud being better at home or on the road versus home.
Yeah.
I'm a big believer in momentum. I think the Texans are probably not where they expected to be. I mean, they're kind of okay. I think they're fine. I think this
Haven't
is
looked that impressive. I mean, all close games and then a blowout by the Vikings. That's all that they've done this year.
That's the one. That's kind of the big mark for them. That's what I was thinking about. But I think that you can't stop Josh Allen. Nothing can stop him. He's like Ben Roethlisberger without all the allegations. So I'm absolutely going
weighing
for,
him down.
weighing him down. Well, look how fast he runs.
Yeah.
There are no allegations weighing him down. On this one here, this is because here's the thing. You could go through the stats. You can go through the stats. We've got time to
No, we got Scott coming on.
Oh,
in a
never
minute.
mind. So we got the stats. That's it. Whatever. I think the Bills. This is a pick 'em to me. I think the Bills win.
Oh my gosh, I'll take the Bills too. I'm done.
I'm done.
Last game because we got to get Scott on here in a
Okay.
minute. That was painful. I'm still like
I know it is. I agree. I was here.
the yikes game of the week: Miami and New England.
Why do you do this
Go
to us,
ahead,
Ralph?
Ralph. I mean,
Why
you chose this
do
game.
you
You
do
get
this
to
to
choose
us?
first. That's where the rules of this.
I have to
Exactly.
choose because it's the yikes game.
Yeah.
Because you intentionally pick these awful matchups.
I'll take New England at home. I'm not going to say why because we don't have time, but I'm taking New England.
I'll go Patriots, I guess. I
Yeah,
don't know.
Patriots as well.
Yeah. Oh God.
So what? You're all copying me now?
Yeah, sure.
Oh yeah, flatter yourself. Why don't you?
All right, that's our picks. We're good. Okay.
right, so-
talks amongst yourselves. I'm going to get Scott on the line and.
So anyway, about Ralph, let me tell you about this guy.
Yeah.
No, that's the thing too. Like for me, like like I know a lot of fans, they get down deep into the stats and stuff. Stats are great to talk about after the fact.
Sure.
But it's the whole thing about past performance does not indicate future potential or whatever the terminology is. I realize that there's this whole field of sabermetrics that's crept into football in the last 20 years, right?
Sure.
A lot of, collecting more data points, doing more analysis, that kind of stuff. There comes a point where, and this is Ralph and I have had this discussion about baseball, about being data influenced versus data driven. And I just think that a lot of times when we talk about these games, you can talk about all the stats you want, and there are some stats that are obviously meaningful, like being the worst the worst team against the pass versus the best team that throws a pass. Obviously, that's going to have a factor, right? But I just think sometimes, like if this were all stats, we wouldn't pick
There
a
wouldn't
game.
be betting, yeah.
It'd be it'd be like Stratomatic. We would just the back of the baseball cards and like, okay, well it's a math equation. It's not. There's people involved, and so that's why I obviously I enjoy talking about stats, but sometimes I don't know how you feel about it, because for me, as much as I appreciate that being a computer guy, I just think that when it comes to sports, there's a lot more.
Okay, hold on a
it.
second.
All right.
I want to see if we have Scott on the line. Scott, are you there? Hey, Scott.
Hail to the king.
Well, that's the chief.
Yes. Well,
We're going to try one more time here.
we're going to try one more time. Do you want us to continue talking about stats? While you're okay, yes,
Yes, go for it.
Yes, go ahead. So yes, for the stats, I think you're right. And I think ESPN and all the things a lot of the times are very guilty of this, where it's like, oh, this is the first time a team since the 1970s and wearing white shoelaces on their left foot have ever come back from a deficit of 2 points or more on Thursday. Like it gets to be so weighted down where it's so oddly specific that it's so hard. But overall, I think that there are certain stats that can certainly be indicative of future performance, but it's not all involving, right? Because if that were the case, then Survivor Leagues wouldn't happen, right? I mean, just betting in general. Survivor Leagues, I mean, what stat could have ever led you to believe that the Cincinnati Bengals could be upset by the New England Patriots week 1?
Right.
Nothing. This week, going up against it, I mean, we're looking at like funny lines and games that are just incredibly hard to pick. I have no idea why the Washington Commanders are only a 3-point favorite against the Cleveland Browns.
Right.
So there's certain things and reasons and stats that it's just hard to be able to indicate what's going forward. And I think that you use them as best as you can, but you don't certainly have to live by them religiously.
I think we have. Scott, are you there?
Scotty.
Scotty Rama.
Scotty Scott Scotterson.
Hello, Scott.
Scottopolis. Population U. We're trying so hard here on the show.
I don't know what's going on. Maybe we should bring in Scott on.
What's going on?
Yeah, what's going on?
Okay, we're going to try this one more time.
One more time.
Brother.
I had a question.
Yes.
If you had to pick, because
Okay, hold on. I think we got him.
That's him.
That is
We
Scott.
both- we
we
both-
have him.
Scott, are you there?
We have Scott in spirit, but we don't have him in actuality.
Not connecting to the board for some reason. Scott?
I'm going to start talking like Scott and see if he listens. I don't know if I could do that.
Well, while we're waiting,
Yes.
as I keep going, and again, I know this is not a betting one, but I always find it interesting. I have a vested interest this year in the Washington Commanders. Don't ask why. It's a big mortgage down payment, whatever.
Sure.
So, anyways, but one of the fishiest lines of this week is the Washington Commanders -3 against the Browns. What has ever led you to believe that the Washington Commanders are only a 3-point favorite against the Browns? Like, I feel like that's the easiest bet of the week, but Vegas does not give gifts. They are
Right.
not. They are not.
They're
in
not in the charity business, yeah.
No, they are not. So that feels like one of those where it's like they're inviting you. They're saying to, and I'm just wondering what is it that Vegas sees.
You
On
can
that?
take all $20,000 of your 401k.
And you can stick it up. Never mind.
Never mind. And you can bet it on the Washington Commanders.
That's right. Oh, that's what we should have done.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my goodness.
That was a missed opportunity on my part. Yeah. Well,
Wait, let's try this
One more time.
Let's all be quiet and let's try this and see if we can actually get it to. There he is.
Oh, I hear him. Oh, I hear the
it.
connection.
I hear it.
We hear a connection.
Hello.
There
Scott.
he is.
There he is. Hello, the king.
Got it.
Wow, you handling this connection like Aaron Rodgers.
Oh my goodness, that's true. 17-10. You got to play his intro.
So yeah, we actually have an intro for you now, Scott.
Oh, really?
yes.
You are deserving of an intro. So here we go. We're gonna intro the king.
Hear ye, hear ye.
Hear ye. Scott Engel of rotorballer.com and Seahawks.com also writes for The Athletic and Sportsline.com and is an inaugural member of Fantasy Sports Writers Association Hall of Fame. And just a general great guy. Scott,
Welcome in.
how you doing this morning, Scott?
I'm doing even better now. Thank you very much.
You deserve it, man. You deserve it more than anybody we know.
Thank you. I appreciate that. You know, you're right. You're right. Do I deserve it more than anybody you know to be paid like a king?
Yes,
Write me a check.
absolutely.
I need some money here to get Met tickets for Game 3.
We just sent you a bunch of rubber checks. They'll be there real soon.
Boy, this connection is getting really
Yeah.
weird all of a sudden.
What,
I don't
Scott?
know.
Can't
Wait
hear
a
you.
second. Anyway.
Well, Scott, we got our first of this or that for this segment here. I've got a friend who's in a real ram of a problem here. We got Cody Parkinson or DeMarcus Robinson, both of the Rams, but both projected to have around the same output. Who would you pick in a flex position?
Somebody on waivers potentially. You know,
Nice.
she was out there. Colby Parkinson has given us nothing, and you know DeMarcus Robinson has given us next to nothing. If this guy is a Rams fan, he needs to start watching other teams. There are potential deeper free agents out there who you could use instead, like Jalen Tolbert. You know, is one example of maybe somebody who's available on free agency. You can pick him up. But I don't even have Colby Parkinson rank in my top 20 tight ends for this week on rotoballer.com. You know, you're going to go to the Rams. I prefer Jordan Whittington if you can get him.
Okay.
I think Phil just lost a friend.
I know. This is the first this or that segment that we've gone with other.
Is this like an NFC West only fantasy league or something?
Right?
Yeah, right.
How many at bats do they have? All right, Scott, let's go to the quarterbacks as we normally go to. Justin Fields is looking pretty high atop the this week's rankings. Can he go above somebody if you wanted to play against, if you happen to have drafted a Jordan Love, maybe a Brock Purdy, Dak Prescott? How high is too high for Justin Fields to comfortably be started in place of a regular starter?
I would start him over all of those except for Love, who's like my number 2 ranked quarterback on Rotoballer. It's updated right now, my latest player rankings. I have Fields exactly where he's scoring right now. He's QB6 on the year, and that's where he finished 2 years ago where he had that great fantasy year. You know, the rushing upside is really back. I don't know if Russell Wilson's going to get back in there because, you know, Mike Tomlin is a winning coach, and he's not going to go away from what's winning.
If we stay within the Steelers division and we go to somebody down there in Cincinnati with a 1-3 record, Joe Burrow has a tough matchup against the Baltimore Ravens. Is he somebody that you're looking to stream another quarterback in order to get better production elsewhere, or are you putting your trust in Joe Burrow since you drafted him?
I have him top 10. You know, it really depends on who else you have. Like, I'd play Purdy over him. I'd play Fields over him. But I'd play him over Joe Flacco. I'd play him over Geno Smith. It's not as difficult of a matchup as the Ravens have a reputation for. They've been really good against the run, but, you know, they've been kind of shaky against the pass.
You mentioned him right there. Joe Flacco has actually just been notified that he is going to be the starter with Anthony Richardson out with that oblique injury. Does this make any of those Colts options, those offensive pieces, more enticing for you, less enticing for you? Michael Pittman Jr. is probably the number one option there that probably has the most rise or fall factor.
Yeah, Joe Flacco, throw me a freaking bone here with him. I like Josh Downs. I like Josh Downs a lot today. Depending on the weather, there is some rain in the forecast, but if the wind is not a major factor, which I read it's not, I'm starting Josh Downs. Good game last week, and on Pro Football Focus, his wide receiver cornerback grade against the Jacksonville Corners is 5th among all wide receivers this week.
All right, so Scott, I've got a this or that for you. This is for me personally here. So this is not my quote unquote.
This is Neil, by the way.
This is not my friend. Yes, we've met. I actually introduced myself.
People forget
to Scott.
you really quickly.
They forget I exist.
Yeah.
All right, so Scott. Starting quarterback, PPR league, Josh Allen or Jordan Love?
I think you need to make a trade there.
Yeah,
you start Josh Allen every week.
Okay.
I have them rank 1-2 this week.
Wow.
So I'd try to trade Love.
Ooh, I like that. Thank you.
Yeah, congratulations over there, Mr.
You don't want to deal with that situation every single week.
Well, by the way, and I appreciate you throwing flowers to me, Phil, but I'm the guy that drafted Christian McCaffrey. So
And then dropped him.
Oh yeah, I dropped him.
I just read he might not be back till week 10.
Okay.
I picked him up after you dropped him, by the way. And put him on
Well,
injured
good
reserve.
luck with that.
I put him on injured reserve. I mean, why not?
I have Nick Chubb on injured reserve. All right. Anyway,
I have a question. So this is a little bit different. So Anthony Richardson, we were just talking about the Colts. Do you think it's time for him just to sit down, injury or not, time for him to sit down and just start watching and learning?
Well, he can learn from Flacco, but they drafted this kid, and they have to let him, go out there and continue to learn on the job. He started to this point so much. It really depends, can they win games with Richardson out there or not? I think it's a legitimate question, but they drafted him so high that I don't know if I see the benching coming. I'm not saying it can't come, but if I had to guess, I would say no.
Okay.
And fantasy-wise, you want to watch for that. You always want to have a good backup for him because durability and like you talk about, what if they pull him at some point? Because a lot of people draft him as a top 5-6 fantasy quarterback because the rushing upside is huge.
Scotty, if we look at the Steelers' running back room, it's a little confusing right now. With Jaylen Warren out, it's caused some confusion, especially with last week Cordarrelle Patterson. Yes, Cordarrelle Patterson making a resurgence here.
He's still in the league?
He's still in the league,
Wow.
and he outsnapped Najee Harris last week. Which is the running back that you want to be starting or playing probably in a flex position, Najee Harris or Cordarrelle Patterson against the juicy Dallas 30th ranked rush defense?
Got to be Harris because I don't think Patterson's playing this week. He's injured. But, Cordarrelle Patterson's not somebody you start in fantasy football anyway.
If we look at the Jaguars, not much is going well. And one thought that we had going into the season was that, well, at least you have a bell cow running back over in Travis Etienne Jr. Not so this year. Tank Bigsby has become a bigger name and starting to gain pace on Etienne at the starting running back position. Is he somebody that you can continue to start going forward with no worry, or are you starting to maybe try and make a trade for Tank Bigsby as a backup if you don't have him as the handcuff?
If you roster Etienne, he's somebody who can pop in because of an injury or a bye week situation with 4 teams on a bye. He's not going to be an every week starter. He's trending up as a fantasy running back 4.
Trey Sermon is coming in for Jonathan Taylor, who is out this week with one of the weirdest mild calf strains, because I don't know how you can have a mild calf strain. I feel like that's just a normal, I don't know. But anyways, Trey Sermon stepping in. What can fantasy managers expect out of his production? Is he somebody that's a strong start over somebody who may be more situated, or is he only in desperation dart?
He's somebody that got ranked out just outside the top 15. He's going to get a lot of volume, so he could get decent production. I actually just popped him into a FanDuel lineup right now where he's 5,800.
Okay. If we look back at that Baltimore matchup, it's a very stout rush defense, a top 3 one. The Cincinnati RBs are going to try and make way against that defense. Which is the running back you want to be playing if you must? We got Zach Moss and Chase Brown. Both are making a case to be a starting running back here, but which one is the one that you would want to start fantasy-wise?
Well, it depends. Volume, you'll get Zach Moss. Upside, Brown can hit a big play anytime he touches the ball, but he's going to be on the field less. I don't like either one. I'd probably pivot to somebody else if you have them, but if I had to pick one of the two, it would be Moss.
If we look at Stephon Diggs, he's putting up remarkable numbers as a number 2 for Houston, but he's facing off against a second-ranked Buffalo team in a revenge game spot. Does a revenge game, Scott, matter at all to you, first of all? And then second of all, how confidently can you continue to start Diggs even in a bad matchup?
Yeah, now you're quoting Dr. Evil. Number 2. Yeah. It is the revenge game sometimes does matter. I used to work with the late, great Chris Dolman. And he used to tell me, no matter what guys say publicly, playing against your former team, it pushes you to have extra adrenaline as an NFL player. And football is a game where adrenaline and emotion can matter and sometimes spur performance. It's an intangible. We talk all the time about statistics, but, I look at pure football first more than anything. And, football can obviously be a game of emotions and adrenaline, and that could motivate Diggs. And Buffalo's defense is kind of banged up. So he is a top 20 start this week, I think. Top 24, actually. But, Diggs is, I think the best fantasy years are certainly behind him. But, the revenge game is certainly a thing. Look at Sam Darnold pounding the Jets today.
Yeah.
Scotty, I just won the waiver wire lottery. I got to Dontavian Wicks, and I'm wanting to be the smartest man in the room and smartest man in the league. Give me a reason to not start Tyreek Hill. Give me a reason to not put Dontavian Wicks over Tyreek Hill in my lineup and just say, I told you so to everybody when he outscores him. Tell me.
Tyler Huntley.
Tyler Huntley. And why does that? Why does that affect Tyreek Hill? You think a second week makes it better?
He's Miami's quarterback and not Tua Tagovailoa.
Okay.
In other words, you have to start Tyreek.
Yeah, in other
That's
words,
what I'm hearing.
you must, yeah.
No, you don't start Tyreek is what
so
I'm
you
saying.
agreed. You're saying
Tyler
Dontavian
Huntley's been bad. Yeah.
Oh.
Okay, so
That Miami offense has been totally lost without Tua.
Yeah, true.
I don't even have Tyreek Hill ranked as a starter this week.
wow. How far has he fallen? for you?
Dontavian, he's number 37 at wide receiver.
Wow.
Now, look, Tyreek Hill could still go off at any time because New England is missing both of its starting safeties. But at the same time, Rodgers just went down in a heap again. I'm sorry. I got distracted. Poor guy's taking a big beat.
Oh, he got obliterated.
Yeah, he is. It's like he's facing like 12 Clubber Langs or something like that.
I love these references.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And anyhow, with the Dolphins, the Patriots are missing both of their starting safeties, but Wicks with both Romeo Doubs and Christian Watson out, and facing Rams defense has just been all kinds of banged up. You got to go with Dontavian Wicks.
4.8, 8.3, 9.8, and 6.8. Those are the output productions in a PPR league for Brandon Ayuk, Scotty. He's facing off against a good and can-be-gotten Arizona defense. Can you start Brandon Ayuk anymore, or are you just waiting to see it to happen before you can trust him again?
Yeah, I don't think that Arizona defense is as good as you say. I'm sorry. I know I'm on Arizona radio, but, they played over their head recently, And Brandon Ayuk really didn't have a preseason, and this is a really good matchup. I think you keep facing him. I have him ranked 12th.
Zay Flowers has had one great week back in week 2 against the Las Vegas Raiders. Outside of that, been pretty quiet, including a 2-point outing last week. Can you start him with confidence this week, or are you looking to bench him as well if you can?
Well, it all depends on who else you have, but I still like him as a wide receiver 3. You know, they're not passing the ball a lot in Baltimore, but it really depends on who else you have. I wouldn't start him over Dontavian Wicks. I wouldn't start him over Stephon Diggs, but I wouldn't start him over Rashid Shaheed. I'd start him over Tyler Lockett, for example.
Scotty, this is more of a general question, but I am curious, as are most players that might have Devontae Adams on some of their fantasy teams, what would be, if he does indeed is granted a trade from the Las Vegas Raiders, what would be the team that, from a fantasy perspective, you would be most excited for him to join? Of course, some of the top teams rumored are, of course, the Jets, the Saints. In a far fantasy, we are talking fantasy, but in a fantasy world, maybe the Chiefs. Like, what team would excite you most if you saw Devontae Adams traded tomorrow from a fantasy perspective?
Well, I would have to say the Bills, but they're probably not going to make a trade for him.
That's a real good one.
That's a good one.
Yeah. But, you know, if we're just talking, you know, excitement, but I would probably say of the teams that you met, like, none of them really like thrill me, I would say. You mentioned the Saints. You mentioned the Jets. There was one other you mentioned. I'm sorry.
Chiefs.
Oh, the Chiefs. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that goes without question. But, you know, report this morning, I think it was NFL Network reporting that the Saints are probably the front runners right now. But it would just be so Jets to acquire Devontae Adams. You know, a 31-year-old wide receiver on a huge contract. Put him together with Aaron Rodgers, and you got a 72-year-old quarterback wide receiver situation.
Scotty, one last question here. Amari Cooper of the Browns has an incredible matchup against the very enticing Washington Commanders secondary, but my goodness, he's only averaging 10.7 points per outing this year. And you got Deshaun Watson as your quarterback. I don't want to. I absolutely despise that I have to ask this question, but can you start him in another just great matchup spot?
I think you have to, and Jerry Jeudy's also got a great matchup. You're right. Watson is, you know, not playing well whatsoever. It's like somebody said to me last night, would you start him against Washington? I said, I wouldn't start him against, he was facing Washington High School. So, you know, some players just can't take advantage of good matchups in fantasy football. Watson's one of them. But, you know, sometimes mediocre quarterbacks will get the ball to somebody, and, you know, it's going to go to Amari Cooper first.
Scott, you were on point today, man.
Oh, my God. The references were plenty.
I know. This
love
is
it.
fantastic.
I can tell when a Met fan is happy about a win last night, and that's what I'm feeling from you right now.
We can talk about one win, wasn't it the whole week?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
it's, you know, it's the cliche. It's a cliche for Met fans, but amazing.
Well, I say congratulations on that. That's a big win for the Mets, I think, in Game 1. And really, they have a great shot at winning that series. Now, I'm a Dodger fan, so I was happy about last night as well. I'd love to see the Mets and Dodgers in the NLCS. That'd be fun.
Yeah, well, you know what, though? I'd like to say that, but Manny Machado is somebody that I talk to fantasy football about a lot. And, you know, he's a big fantasy football player, and I got to root for Manny. So I'm hoping for Mets Padres.
I won't tell you what I think of Manny then. We'll keep that out of the conversation.
Wow. All right.
He's no Charlie Hustle.
He's a huge Dallas Cowboys fan and a good dude.
Okay. I respect you, and I will just say okay. All right, so Scott, thank you so much for joining us. That's Scott Engel of Rotoballer.com. And hey, if you haven't been on Rotoballer.com, you need to go on Rotoballer.com because that site is the best resource for fantasy sports. It's unbelievable. So check it out. He's also at Seahawks.com, writes for The Athletic and Sportsline.com, and of course the inaugural member of the Fantasy Sports Writer Hall of Fame. That is Scott the King Engel. Scott, we'll see you next week.
All right, we'll see you Thursday, actually.
I'll see you Thursday. Take care, Scott.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, and that was Scott the King. He was good.
He was on fire.
Total Mets fan.
That's a man who's not waking up to coffee and come on the show. That's somebody who's been watching the Jets from the start, baby. That's somebody who's
That's
been
exactly
up for a
right.
couple hours, so that's good.
Yeah, well, he has a 9 a.m. Eastern show on X. I mean, so
Oh,
he's up doing it already at what, 6 a.m. our time.
Yes, I
so.
only jest.
He's on it, man. He's amazing. That guy lives and breathes fantasy, so I love having him on here. But I think that's probably the best I've heard.
Yes.
That was fun.
Man,
right.
Minnesota Vikings up 20-10 on your New York Jets.
Yeah, I saw that play that Scott was referring to where Aaron Rodgers got folded. The defender came in completely unblocked, and he just leveled him.
God
and he
bless that
almost
New York
fumbled
Jets
it.
revamped offensive line. God bless it.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, whatever happened to that?
It's gone. All right, so
Good grief.
week 5. What's the one thing you're looking for, Neil? What's the one thing you're excited about?
I am excited about. Well, I mean, there's a couple things, but honestly, the big one is I'm excited to see. And this is me personally because I'm a Packer fan. And I have a little bit of. It used to be more of a conflict, but as you know, obviously, you and I both grew up in Los Angeles, so I have a soft spot in my heart for the Rams, and I don't ever wish ill upon them under any circumstance. However, I am curious to see if the Packers can actually do well. If Jordan Love is back and if he's playing at a high level and if it's good enough to beat the Rams. That's what I'm looking for. The other thing I'm looking for too, which we're watching right now, is I was curious to know how the Jets were going to do against the Vikings. And the answer to this point with 9 minutes left in the game is not good.
Well, it's only a 10-point game.
Yeah, they're driving right now.
It's only a 10-point game, but who knows? Is that like, okay, if this was the Chiefs playing, I'd be like, oh yeah, 10 points, it's nothing. But it's the Jets. Like 10 points might be insurmountable for them at the rate they're playing today. And I think the whole Sam Darnold thing is true. I think he had a chip on his shoulder, and that's something I didn't. I was thinking about it, and I completely neglected that point. It's like, yeah, I forgot Darnold, wasted away with the Jets for a couple of years, and he's probably ready to hang a bunch of touchdowns on him. So, and he already has. But I don't know. This kind of feels like the Vikings used to be the team that would get behind by a bunch of points and then come back and almost win. And now it feels like this entire season is the opposite, where it's the Vikings getting up to big leads and teams are coming back on them. So it's still a chance. But, at this point, the way they're playing, I can't see the Jets overcoming the Vikings.
Okay. Phil, what are you looking forward to today?
I know it's really, really, really early to be saying this, but
Broncos Super Bowl?
No,
Oh, sorry.
no, it's never too early to say that. But look, I think the division is up for grabs in the Ravens-Bengals game. Because, look, if the Ravens win, I think they built an insurmountable lead, to be quite honest. They've already had the
think that's a good
tiebreaker
point.
now over two teams. And the Steelers, they're great, but they haven't won any division games as of yet. They haven't played any of their division games. Ravens would have tiebreakers over the Bills for the division. They would have a tiebreaker over the Bengals, and it would knock the Bengals out. So I feel like this, if the Bengals win, we have new life in the division, and it's still up for grabs. But if the Ravens win, this kind of feels like it's all over. So I'm very interested to see how the Ravens do on the road against the Bengals in a win or go home game for the Bengals specifically. The Ravens, they lose this game. They've lost a lot of steam off of all the goodwill that they acquired off of beating a very mediocre Bills team. That's probably the best of the AFC East. So I'm intrigued, but of course the Bengals could always let me down.
Ralph, what are you looking forward to this week besides the Seahawks?
I'm looking actually forward to see how Caleb Williams does against the Carolina defense.
Oh, very good.
I want to see if that offensive line, I think, should be able to keep him standing upright in this game because, there's not much on the Carolina side of the ball
Especially
defensively.
not on the defense.
And I'm curious to see if this is the game where Caleb goes off because I think this could be the game where he just has that big, 300-yard passing game, 2-3 touchdowns, and they just go off. They should be able to run against him as well to balance it. So I'm really curious to see what happens in that game. See, you thought I was going to say something else.
Well, because you already know the result.
Yeah.
Well, no, I knew it was going to be either the Seahawks or Caleb Williams because that's all he does. If he could mention Shohei Ohtani now, he would, but he's not going to.
I'm also looking forward to the Dodger-Padre game today. There's no doubt about that.
Absolutely.
I'd love to see the Dodgers go up 2-0.
I do have a game. We didn't pick it, but I am curious about your opinions on it.
Okay, we have time.
If you don't mind, we got a couple of minutes
We
here.
got till whenever we want.
We got all the time in the world.
We got free time here
We're here
today.
till noon. No. Colts Jaguars. Jaguars haven't won a game yet this year.
Yeah.
Do they get their first win this week?
So I'm going to put this to where. So we were on the blender yesterday, or the day before yesterday.
Who's we?
Keon and myself were on the blender, and we
Yesterday?
were talking about college football. So here's my to get you where I'm going. And he talked about
Yeah, Neil, stay on topic.
yeah. He talked about Tennessee going into Arkansas, and Tennessee's ranked number 4th in the country. And I told him, I said, I hear what you're saying, but Tennessee just does really bad in Arkansas. They've lost 3 in a row. This will be 4 in a row. And what happened? The number 4 team went down to unranked Arkansas.
Yeah.
And I look at this game and I'm like, the Jags, they have the Colts number. They beat the Colts up every time they play. That's their get right team. And I said this on the show as well. I feel that this game the Jags will get right, and they'll beat the team that they always beat. They need to play the Colts right now.
Okay.
And I just feel that this is the game where they're going to win this game, and they're going to get right and get things going from this point on. That's just my gut.
So you think the Jaguars, they're finally going to get out of the they're finally going to win.
Yeah, I think this is where their season changes. It turns around. They need to play the Colts. This is good for them.
What do you think, Phil?
I think it's so weird that the Jaguars don't have a win because it's out of all the winless teams, you at any point in time during the season, you would have been like, oh, the Jags will get back there. But I think that they remain in the winless column. Look, the Colts, say what you will about them, they don't. I mean, losing DeForest Buckner, of course, has tremendously hurt their defense overall because he's such a clog in the middle. He kind of disrupts the entirety of what the opposing offense does. But the Colts, I think that they got a little bit better. It's kind of like the Andy Dalton thing with in Carolina. I think Joe Flacco, I think he's just going to just facilitate. And that might be all that offense needs. We saw that last year with Gardner Minshew, who I don't have a tremendous amount of respect or cadence to. I think that Joe Flacco, of course, can be that too. I think Anthony Richardson, he's just chucking up 50-50 balls, and Lord help him, it looks beautiful when it works, and it doesn't. I just don't think that Joe Flacco is going to put them in a position to. He's not going to be the reason why they lose. I don't think. But Trevor Lawrence, something's wrong, man. I don't know what it is. He was supposed to be the Caleb Williams before Caleb Williams. He was supposed to be the next Andrew Luck. Supposed to be the next Peyton Manning. He does not look like any of that.
You know who he looks like? The next Jeff Spicoli.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, and by the way, you know what's wrong with Trevor Lawrence? I'll tell you what's wrong with him.
Oh, please.
He is too busy counting his piles of cash that he's sitting on. Because he
doesn't spend money.
Because he got that big contract. Well, he doesn't spend. Well, he doesn't spend it because he gets in at like a bunch of 20s and then sits on a big giant pile of money and like lights it on fire for fun. That's what he's distracted because of all the money. No, I don't know what the deal is with Trevor Lawrence. It's bizarre to me.
So who do you think wins?
I think it's going to be the Jaguars. I think they finally get out of the club.
So you're talking bad about him, and then you're saying he's going to win.
Yeah, I guess they'll talk bad about him. I think he's going to win. I mean, I think he's going to good do. I will say this though, for the Colts, okay, this is your super secret. You thought Scott the King was good. Yeah, he's fantastic. But let me tell you, here's your hot tip of the week. You ready for this? I need a breaking news sounder.
What?
Hit him with a slap.
Hot tip of the week. If you have the Colts, you need to pick up running back Evan Hull. He just got activated off the practice squad. He's going to be on the active roster today. He's going to see time. He's going to score at least 1 touchdown this week. That's my prediction.
Wow.
Evan Hull.
Probably won't get 1 carry today.
Evan Hull.
1 carry for 1 fumble.
Evan Hull from Maple Grove High School.
Oh my! This is why.
In Maple Grove, Minnesota.
Where's this pool?
Who played for Northwestern.
Homer.
And he's going to
shameless.
My son played with him on the 4th grade team.
Here we go.
That's how Evan Hull.
I knew there was some BS about this.
Evan Hull is going to get a touchdown. You watch.
Just like the other NFL player you talk about all the time. I don't remember his name.
Oh, he got cut, so no, I don't talk about him anymore either. So it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
Before we go, I was looking. I wanted to see what you guys thought about this. They looked at the last 90 days on X, the negative sentiment toward NFL teams.
Okay.
Right? I thought this was interesting. Who do you think was the #1 team in the league that got the most? They got the most negative comments on them on X in the last 90 days, and it's pretty extensive. The
100%.
Can we get like top 3 worst?
We'll do top 3, but who do you think was the top?
I think the division that owns this is the NFC East. It's either Eagles or Cowboys. I'll go with Eagles.
Okay,
That's interesting. Go ahead.
I'm going to go with the Jets.
Okay, so Eagles is number 3.
Okay.
Wow.
Cowboys is number 2.
Yeah.
So you were right there.
Who's number 1?
Jets are 7.
Oh, wow. Okay. Not
Number
bad.
1 by far, the Chiefs.
I guess I was thinking from within its own fan base.
I forgot the negative. Yeah, that makes sense to me.
You're
Like
right.
examples of tweets were like, I hate the Cowboys, things like that. I mean, those are the kind of tweets.
I've seen an
people like
uptick
to-
on social media about like, oh, the game's rigged, or oh, they're saving Patrick Mahomes and all this
Right.
stuff. So I have seen that, but I
Oh,
just,
yeah, you're right. Yeah, okay, so that makes sense. All of the...
yeah, again, it's not coming from its own fan base.
No.
Which is why
Overall.
Yeah, overall. Like I don't think a lot of people are hating. I mean, what you're kicking a can while it's down on the Cowboys, or you're kicking a can while it's down on the Philadelphia Eagles. But the Chiefs, that's where everybody's punching up. They're like,
Well, they're always going to punch up, right? Whoever's the team that's dominating. Is the,
Patriots.
when the Seahawks dominated, everybody hated them. When the Patriots dominated, everybody hated them. When the Packers dominated for a little bit, everybody hated them.
when
This
was
is how
that?
it is. It was a long time ago.
Everybody still hates the Seahawks, though, so that's fine.
No, nobody even thinks about them.
Who?
They're irrelevant. Exactly.
The see who?
They're as irrelevant as.
Geno Smith is like impossible to hate.
Oh, that's true.
but
Absolutely.
people say he stinks.
This is the year that I'm actually starting to come around and be like, you know, maybe he's not just like just a good reclamation story.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think Geno Smith is turning into the we're seeing who he actually is now, which is good. So he needed a new system to unlock his potential, and he's got it now.
And
so.
unfortunately for Caleb Williams, Shane Waldron is now the offensive coordinator over there. So
Yeah.
Poor guy.
thank God he left Seattle. He was terrible.
Yeah.
He's not good for quarterbacks. Anyway, any closing thoughts?
Closing thought is I hope that somebody brought up on social media the fact that basically the Cardinals last week had paid Cliff Kingsbury to kick their butt. And I thought
that's
that was,
true.
I thought,
Yes,
I
he's
thought-
getting offset.
I thought that was very interesting. So good,
Because
good.
the Cardinals are paying since he got
good.
fired by them. The Washington Commanders are only paying they can pay him the minimum, and then the Cardinals are paying the offset difference for whatever he was owed for his contract. That's incredible.
Yes.
That was really good. I didn't think about that.
Very nice.
That's hilarious. You got any closing thoughts?
When the Rams win this week, I will make sure to send you a tissue box, Neil, so that way you can
Wow.
cry over your lack of love. Man, that would be absolutely crazy if Malik Willis is responsible for the only 2 wins this year for the Packers for a while. For like, I don't think
That would be
stat
crazy.
remain.
That's what if that happens? What if the Rams beat them and now
Quarterback controversy in
is
Green Bay.
there a controversy?
No,
there can't be because of the money they
No,
give
they
them.
just paid him.
No, there's not going to be a controversy.
But you're a Packer fan. Those fans get crazy.
Yeah, but you know what, though? Packer fans in general are a little more level-headed than people give them credit for, because I've been there sitting in the stands, hanging out with them during all the good years. They're actually a lot smarter than people think, because obviously the reputation is Wisconsin. Everybody's drunk all the time. There's nothing to do in Green Bay, blah, blah, blah. But here's the thing. There's nothing to do in Green Bay. So these people do deep analysis, and they'll be the first ones to tell you that someone's going to be good or bad. So I don't think they're going to, the fans themselves, if the controversy happens, it's not because of the real fans. They're a little more even keeled.
So what I just heard you say is that people in Green Bay don't have lives.
He's not denying
Define life. Define life.
No, I think the only quarterback controversy in the NFC North would be, weirdly enough, the Minnesota Vikings. Like, if Sam Darnold keeps playing like this, I don't know how you let him go.
There's no controversy.
Yeah, I mean,
There's
JJ
no-
McCarthy just has to wait another year, just one more off of injury. That's
You have to re-up Darnold and you let McCarthy sit.
yeah. For
How could you
another
not?
year.
I agree.
It'd be hard. Yeah.
Imagine if they get in the playoffs and make a run with Donald. I mean, how do you can't.
Well, then, I mean, the other part, which I don't know how much of a controversy this is, but Nick Mullins, like during this game today, Sam Darnold went out for a play. Nick Mullins comes in. Do they just hand the ball off? No, they threw it downfield to hit a guy on single coverage
saw
and
that.
got a bunch of yards. So it's like I hate to say this, but the Vikings actually have more than one decent quarterback. Now we know Nick Mullins can't last a whole season. We've seen that already last year, especially.
It was one play.
Yeah, but still one. I mean, to come in on one play,
And it was a pretty
that's-
nice catch.
That's serviceable. Like you can do that. Anyway, I agree. I think there's going to be some. I would be curious to see what happens if Darnold continues to progress the way he has. What do you do with McCarthy? I have no idea.
You keep him, obviously, but you just let him have a clipboard and learn, which is not a bad thing.
Well, that should happen. Yeah, it doesn't happen as much as it should.
Let's get away from getting these guys starting right out of college.
Correct.
I just think it's a
100%
mistake.
agree.
It's a mistake, and I think Anthony Richardson, even though the King was saying different, it's It's an issue.
Well, but you of all people should know, Ralph, that is the cheat code. If it works tremendously of having a rookie quarterback on a rookie salary and being able to build
of course.
an overpowered team. I mean, look at Brock Purdy.
Right.
I mean,
Brock Purdy's a
of
great
course,
example
somebody
of that.
that wasn't supposed to start, but now that you do, I mean, until you have to pay him, you can build an incredible team all around him.
Russell
An all-star
Wilson, Brock Purdy. I mean, C.J. Stroud. We talked about that. I mean,
Bo Nix. Just kidding.
Not Bo Nix.
So, just a little heads up for those who are watching. It's 3:15 left in the game. The somehow the Jets scored again, so it's 20-17.
See, we got a game.
20-17. Let's see what happens.
I hate these London games. Hate them.
Why do you hate them?
Because number one, it takes us off the air. Number two, I don't like the fields they play on. People tend to get hurt. I think it jacks them up with their sleep and their time balance. I just think they're horrible. We need to play here, and if you want to put a team in London, put it in there. And
But Goodell wants to expand all over the globe. He wants to have games in Antarctica.
Yeah, the Steelers are going to host the first Dublin, Ireland game.
yeah, that's right.
It just got announced
See,
today.
that's interesting to me. I don't know if is there really a huge. I mean, I realize
Notre Dame goes over to Ireland.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Which
right.
makes
They
sense.
do. Yeah. I mean, there's Packer fans all over the place. I know there's Packer fans all over the
There's
globe.
Niner fans all over the place.
So it's just like yeah, they have a fan base there, but I don't know. I just feel like we're going to start going to some obscure places. Let's have a game at the base of Mount Everest. Let's go to Nepal for a game, huh?
the Nepal Warriors against the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, or let's go to Australia. At least there, it's like.
That's going to happen.
No, I 100%.
I guarantee you that's going to
Australia.
happen. Absolutely.
Yeah, and they're gonna. I just want to hear the Australian news anchors and commentators talk about it because I just love listening
Aaron
to their
Rodgers?
accents.
I just don't like the fields they play on over there. Their soccer fields, the grass isn't as tight, and you see way too much slipping.
Oh,
and
I'm
people
sorry.
messing
I'm
around.
sorry. The pitch.
The pitch.
Okay. The pitch.
The pitch is not tight. How about that?
Ralph wins.
Hey, you're up.
You're the winner.
All right, so I win again. Hey, thanks for joining us today. It was a good show, really good show.
Yeah.
Even though it wasn't on the radio, we'll be back on the radio in about 3 weeks. But we're going to keep this up while we're not on there. This is just as good.
Yeah, join us next week, same time, same social media channels,
Same bat channel.
same bat. I didn't say it. I was thinking about it.
People got to see Phil.
Yeah, Phil. He actually exists.
He's the hidden talent.
He's not an AI. He's not a chat bot. He's not chat. He's not
chat
chat
bot.
GPT. As far as we know.
As far as we know, in the flesh.
Close us out. What do you got to say, Phil?
Broncos, I'm sorry that I picked against you, but we all know where it's going to go. We all know who's going to win.
He didn't pick against your Broncos. He picked. He's just not. He's just lying. He's just lying. All right. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you again next week. Have a great Sunday. Hope your teams do great. If they don't, sucks to be you. Talk to you later.